It is often left to the enfant terrible of European aviation, Ryanair's Michael O'Leary, for some blunt speaking. And so it was on Brexit, where he recognises that Ryanair has its own issues.
The threat of Brexit to aviation is massively understated by people who are essentially in denial. Now, I think there's likely to be a transition period, but one way or another, what's coming down the road at the aviation is there's going to be restrictions on flights between the UK and Europe. Either because of flight rights, I think flight rights will get agreed pretty quickly, but the ownership restrictions, and that will be imposed. And they'll be imposed because the Germans and the French are pushing very hard for a firm interpretation of the ownership restrictions, which may mean the breakup of IAG. BA will be forced to sell Iberia and or Aer Lingus. And EasyJet's Austrian AOC will not be able to fly. There will be no EasyJet intra-European flights.
But the whole aviation structure has been based on a nod, wink. Air France KLM was created. I mean, Northwest and KLM was created. The JVs have been created. Everything has been created on a nod, wink. If you have a sort of supervisory board and a this board and a that board on top of it, and the rights are held by somebody else.
I think that's fine until the interests diverge. And at the moment, you see divergent interests between the French and the Germans, who want to see the very strict interpretation of ownership rules. And I don't think they'll turn a blind eye to UK shareholders. A, because Lufthansa and Air France have very few UK shareholders, and they see a significant opportunity to disrupt the business models of British Airways and EasyJet.
Willie says BA already comports. It's not a problem. It's not going to be difficult. He sat where you are 10 minutes ago and said it's not a problem. It's a fuss about nothing.
I love Willie dearly, but, you know, Willie is in denial. What he says publicly is somewhat different from what IAG people will tell you privately. They are very concerned about it. They're very concerned about finding a solution.
Well, you have
which I hope they do find.
You have a problem as well, because, you know, your British flights, your UK flights are done under the Irish AOC. Yep. So you're now going to have to get a British AOC, which I'm sure you're working on.
No, in actual fact, I think that's not the challenge for us. I mean, we're working on a UK AOC, but ultimately, as we have, with an Irish AOC, we'll be a European carrier. I think there will be reciprocal flight rights between UK and Europe. I don't see that changing. The challenge for us is we probably, if you add our UK shareholders to our American shareholders, we probably have about 64% of our shares are held by what will be non-EU shareholders. So we have a challenge. We may have to force down this, we may have to force some of our existing non-EU shareholders to sell a proportion of their stake or disenfranchise them if a hard Brexit comes about. So it's the ownership restrictions, I think, is the much greater challenge for airlines like BA, EasyJet, and to a lesser extent to us, not the flight rights.
Getting all these airline CEOs into the same room at the same time is no mean achievement. Getting them to agree on certain core issues is an even greater sign of success. But make no bones about it, they're still fighting for every passenger, every dollar, every euro, every pound spent in the air. And as Carsten Spohr reminded me, it's only when the going gets tough that we'll truly find out who's made the true necessary changes for success.